So right when Garland was drafted, the conversation was if he could fit with Sexton. And we now have a 60-game sample size, basically. And, to be fair to Garland and Sexton, before I start saying some not awesome things, I don't know if anybody could have been successful given the year that Cleveland had between the whole John Beeline situation and Kevin Love not exactly being the best leader and whatever else. But that being said, it doesn't look awesome so far. Sexton's playmaking is still pretty shaky. I think Garland has more potential as a passer. It didn't happen in his rookie season like that. And defensively, they're both bad. And there's questions about if these type of guys make you better. Now, with this said, Sexton did still put up an efficient 21 points a game. And that should still be noted. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a guy in his second season, even if there's still questions about his all-around game and all that. But I do want to point that out nonetheless. And in the case of Garland, I think he was asked to do too much this year for the Cavs. I mean, he started every game he played 30 minutes, 31 minutes actually. And his usage rate for most of the year, not all of it, but for most of it, was like third highest on the team. And that just seems like a lot to ask of a rookie, especially one who had health problems coming into the NBA. So there is a chance that not only did we just see a guy adjusting to the NBA, and we know how that can go, but also a guy overcoming injury and just trying to get back into playing basketball like that. So again, for Garland to be just kind of thrown into the fire the way he was for this Cavs team, you can see why he wouldn't have an awesome rookie season. I mean, his efficiency was bad, not just as a scorer, but as a passer. Like, his turnover percentage was almost identical to his assist percentage. His shooting looked pretty good. I mean, 36% on 5 threes is pretty alright. And for what it's worth, his shooting from mid-range wasn't horrible. Really what hurt him was his lack of anything at the basket. I mean, he shot, what did he shoot? He shot like 47% at the rim, which is just not good. And he only shot 1 free throw a game. So, I mean, if you're basically going to be nothing at the rim, then there is a pretty big cap on what you can be as a guard who's expected to create offense. So we'll have to see what he can do there. He's certainly not like Russell Westbrook in terms of getting by guys and finishing at the rim, but I'd like to think he can still have a decent amount of craftiness and that sort of thing. And you can still see the template of the type of player that Garland can be, which is a guy who can beat guys off the dribble, get inside, and then make plays for teammates, finish at the rim, shoot a lot of free throws, make some threes, that type of thing, right? And if you want to look at his last month, mainly the last month, February for Garland, 12 points, 5 assists, 43% from the field, 37% from 3, taking basically 0 free throws. It's certainly better than when he showed up and looked like he didn't know what he was doing out there at all. So that is nice. I guess, there is a chance with Garland that his ceiling is like Jeff Teague, which is still solid. I mean, that's a long NBA career, being, I don't know, like the 12th best point guard in the league or something, putting up 16 and 6 and being a capable offensive player. But again, it's this idea of, if we're going by the comparisons that I've made in this vid, which of course can be wrong, but if your backcourt is basically Monte Ellis and Jeff Teague, how good of a team can you really be, And not just like over-the-hill Monte and Indiana for the 1 year those two actually did play together. You put 2 guards out there who, yeah, they could be good, but the questions about the defense and the passing, and I mean, hell, even getting to Jeff Teague levels of passing for Garland, even that would be impressive. I mean, so it's just going to be a climb with both of these dudes. And if you want to make the case that Cleveland should just get off of one of them, I mean, there's arguments both ways. I guess it would really just come down to what you could get, which probably wouldn't be much. I mean, you could probably get more for Sexton and Garland, but I don't know, maybe Cleveland would just be kind of forced to keep trying it out with these two. And I mean, you don't want to give up on a guy after his rookie season in which he was dealing with health problems, or coming back from them at least. So I think it's fair to give this some time. Now, that being said, the Cavs will hopefully, for their sake, have a high draft pick, potentially the top pick in the draft, but we know how the lottery is now. It's random and all that. But if they believe that the best player in the draft is a guard, whether it be Killian Hayes or LaMelo or whoever else, I think they should still take him, because I don't think Sexton or Garland are good enough to stop you from just going with the best player available. I mean, if you have 19 wins, then you should not be drafting for fit at all. I guess technically if the season never ended, they'd finish with like 24 wins at the most. So if you want that to change up your whole draft strategy, be my guest, but I wouldn't. Now, I also wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland went with a safe pick in the draft, which, by the way, I don't really know who would be a safe pick in the upcoming draft, because there's so much disagreement about this upcoming draft. Well, the agreement is there's no superstar, and then after that, it's just wherever you look, some guy will be the third best player. On another mock, he'll be like the 13th best, so it's really all over the place. But like if Cleveland viewed Tyrese Halliburton as the safest player, because he's tall and he can make plays and it seems like he can make some shots, then perhaps that's your guy. I don't want to talk about the draft too much because we don't know where Cleveland's going to be selecting. Like in the past, you could still have a pretty decent idea before the lottery. Nowadays, I could say a whole bunch of stuff and they end up with the 7th pick and none of it matters. So, I guess another thing to think about with Sexton and Garland, I mean, I've talked about this a little bit. It's kind of the idea of, even if both of them really click on offense, is there a chance that your defense can never be good with them? I mean, Sexton is in this weird thing where I feel like he cares about winning and he plays hard, but his defense is also bad, so maybe he just simply doesn't know what he's doing out there, and that's that. Garland, I don't think Garland is impressing defensively either. And, you know, typically you don't get too freaked out about one guard who, at the most, could be like an average defender. When you have two guys, then I think it starts to get a little tough. Now, maybe Cleveland's attempting to get out ahead of that by making the 3 spots around those two just huge with the Nance, Drummond, Kevin Love thing, and then Tristan Thompson coming off the bench. I don't know there. I mean, that team doesn't seem that awesome long term, if you ask me, but maybe they just discovered some wild thing that could lead them to a bunch of victories. I don't know, man. It'd be tough. I mean, if you really have Garland and Sexton there, I guess the blueprint to being good defensively would be what happened with the Blazers with CJ and Dame, where for one, they both get better, but two, you have a good coach who knows what he's doing defensively, and then you just surround him with good defenders. I mean, we saw it with Harkless and Aminu and Nurkic and Evan Turner being all right there. Does Cleveland have the personnel for that? I don't know. I mean, I like Kevin Porter Jr. I think he's intriguing. But if he's going to be the guy who can save these two defensively, I don't know about that one. The avenue for this going well is maybe you have Garland be the primary ball handler and Sexton can just be your 2 guard. Because, and I feel like that's already kind of happened, but I feel like you really have to hammer that home because I do think Garland has a higher ceiling as a passer than Sexton does, and it might make sense to just kind of establish that now rather than shuffle it around for years or whatever. So yeah. But all this being said, there could be a chance. Like, what's the guarantee that Sexton and Garland both get extended on the Cavs? Like if we fast forward, what would it be? So Garland's extension will be 3 years from now. Sexton's will be 2. So if we fast forward 4 years, do we think both of these guys are on this team with a second contract? At this very moment, if you force me to make a choice, I'm going to say no. I think just one of these guys is going to be gone, whether it's because of fit or one of them just doesn't really take off like that or something. I find it wild to believe that Cleveland would decide, yeah, both of these guys, we have to keep them, and that's that. But I could be wrong.